Before cities, before kings and wars, before even the idea of a nation, there was silence. Then, somewhere in that vast and ancient wilderness, something extraordinary began to stir. A creature, small, curious, fragile, it took its first uncertain steps into a new way of living. It was not the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the fiercest, but it would become the most remarkable species the planet had ever known. This is our story. This is the dawn of humanity. Long before humans existed, Earth had already seen empires of life rise and fall. Giant reptiles ruled the skies and seas. Ancient mammals thundered across the plains, and predators of all shapes and sizes fought for survival. But around 7 million years ago, in the heart of Africa, evolution took a new and daring turn. Among the trees and savannas lived a creature that began to walk on two legs, an early ancestor we now call Sahelanthropus chidensis. It wasn't human, not yet, but something had shifted. With each step upright, it freed its hands. And with free hands came the first small taste of possibility. Walking changed everything. It gave our ancestors a new way to move, to see, to explore. The world opened up before them. Over millions of years, the story continued a slow, patient dance of survival and adaptation. By around 3 million years ago, a being named Australopithecus afarensis roamed the East African plains. You may have heard of her. We call her Lucy. Barely a meter tall, she walked upright under the African sun. Each generation built upon the last. Their lives short and harsh but meaningful in ways they could never have imagined. Every fire, every shelter, every tool, a step toward something greater. The next great leap came with Homo Habilis, the handyman. These early humans were the first true toolmakers. They learned that stone could be shaped, that with one precise strike, you could turn rock into edge. From that moment, nature was no longer just endured, it could be altered. Those rough stone flakes, the old Darwin tools, were humble beginnings of technology. Simple tools, but they transformed survival. They allowed early humans to cut meat, scrape hides, and defend themselves. Each spark of creativity led to another. Soon, sharper, stronger tools appeared. Symmetrical, refined, deliberate. They were more than weapons. They were signs of imagination, the idea that something in the mind could be made real. Around 2 million years ago, evolution unveiled a new kind of human, Homo erectus. Taller, stronger, more enduring. And with them came one of the most transformative discoveries in our species' history. Fire. Imagine that night. Lightning strikes a tree. Flames roar into the sky. The air fills with heat and color. And for the first time, light breaks the darkness. At first, they must have feared it. But slowly, curiosity replaced fear. They learned to carry fire, to feed it, to control it. It gave warmth, protection, and a place to gather. It turned night into day and danger into safety. And fire changed the body itself. Cooked food gave more energy, which fueled a growing brain. That brain began to think, to plan, to imagine futures that didn't yet exist. With fire, humanity gained more than survival. It gained a soul. For nearly 2 million years, Africa was humanity's cradle, but eventually, curiosity, or perhaps necessity, pushed us to explore beyond it. Small bands of Homo erectus began to leave, step by step, following herds and rivers into the unknown. They crossed mountains, deserts, and seas, reaching Asia, Europe, and beyond. Everywhere they went, they adapted. In cold climates, they learned to make clothes. In forests, they carved tools from wood. Each environment demanded something new, and they met the challenge every time. Humanity became a traveler, a species defined not by where it lived, but by its need to keep moving. Then, around 300,000 years ago, a new species appeared, the Homo Sapiens. We looked much like modern humans, but our minds were sharper, our imagination deeper. We painted, we carved, we dreamed. Inside caves in France and Spain, humans painted animals that no longer lived. They mixed colors from crushed stones, lit fires to illuminate the walls, and filled those caverns with life and motion. Those paintings were not just art, they were proof of thought, of wonder, of the ability to create meaning. For the first time, humans weren't just surviving, they were telling stories. But the world was not ours alone. We shared it with others. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and more. They were like us, intelligent, skilled, emotional. For thousands of years, we lived side by side. Sometimes we fought, sometimes we traded, sometimes we loved. The DNA of those ancient cousins still lives within us today, yet one by one, they disappeared. Perhaps it was changing climate, dwindling food, or competition. Or perhaps it was simply fate, that fragile balance of chance and adaptation that has always shaped life. When they were gone, only one human species remained. As the last ice age began to loosen its grip, humanity faced a new world. The great glaciers melted, rivers swelled, and fertile valleys appeared. And in those valleys, something revolutionary began. Humans learned to plant seeds. They learned to keep animals close. They built shelters that lasted, and villages that grew. The agricultural revolution, around 10,000 years ago, changed everything. For the first time, people could stay in one place. They built granaries, walls, and temples. They stored food, and with food came time. Time to think, time to build, time to dream. Villages grew into towns, towns into cities, and cities into empires. And within a few short millennia, humans went from wandering hunters to masters of the earth. With civilization came writing, art, and history itself. We learned to record time, to preserve the past and plan for the future. Clay tablets, cave walls, papyrus, scrolls, all were born from the same ancient urge. To remember, we built pyramids, carved statues, mapped the stars. The same hands that once shaped stone tools were now shaping entire worlds. But this progress came with a cost. As we tamed nature, we also began to exploit it. Forests fell, rivers changed, and countless creatures disappeared. Yet through all our triumphs and mistakes, one thing never changed. That spark of curiosity that began millions of years ago in Africa still burns today. The story of humanity is not a straight line. It's a path marked by courage, chance, and endless adaptation. From the first fire to the first cities, from stone to steel, from earth to stars. Every invention, every belief, every dream we've ever had, all began with those first steps. Long ago, under an African sun. We are the children of survivors, the heirs of those who refuse to give up. Every tool in your hand, every word you speak, every thought you think, is a continuation of that same ancient story. The dawn of humanity never truly ended. It's still happening. Every moment we imagine, explore, and create. Because as long as curiosity exists, as long as we keep asking why, and what's next, the story of our species will continue to rise with every dawn. If you've enjoyed this journey into our origins, leave a like and subscribe for more explorations into our ancient past. So to understand where we're going, we must first remember where we came from.